Good afternoon, everyone. I just miss you all so much. Since I last saw you yesterday, that's the reason why we're having this forum. So I really just want to see all of you. No, but this afternoon we are actually fortunate to have with us a team of very young and dynamic campaigners on the Sustainable Development Goal. I'm actually very proud that I have with me my pamangkin. Ano ba English ng pamangkin? Niece. And she's the, I wrote it down, she's the Communication and Design Specialist for the UN SDG Action Campaign. Christina is my pamangkin and she will be the moderator for this afternoon. What we're going to have basically is a discussion on how young people like you can actually participate in the Sustainable Development Goal campaign. As I've said, this is actually an interesting and a very exciting afternoon because we don't usually have a discussion about the SDG like this. Most of the discussion that we have usually are embedded in our classes. And we have very little activities that actually talk about the SDG squarely. So I will pass the stage now to Christina to give us an overview of what will happen this afternoon and introduce her team. They're very young and
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? First thing I want to ask is how many of you know about the Sustainable Development Goals? Raise your hand. Raise it higher. I can't see. Okay, how many of you don't know anything? How many of you, okay, so that's good. You at least have heard of it. Hopefully by the end of today you'll learn a lot more about it. So a little bit about me. Your professor is my aunt, my tita Apple, so thank you so much for inviting me here. I was actually here on vacation with my family. I have my dad and my sister and my mom in the back, and also my uncle, Dr. Reta from LaSalle over there, so they all came to support us. So a little bit about me. I'm actually Filipino American. So it's really, really great for me to come here to the Philippines and to share some of my professional knowledge with all of you. I've been living, I was born in California, but then I now live in Spain, in Madrid. And I work for the UN SDG Action Campaign, whose office is in Germany. So it's very confusing. But I'm going to give just a brief intro about some of the campaigns and the initiatives that we do. Then I'm going to introduce you to our SDG advocates, these amazing people here, who will share many initiatives and ideas for you to get involved. So I'm just going to play this short video. So that was just a very brief intro about the Sustainable Development Goals. So in a nutshell, what are the Sustainable Development Goals? So they are 17 goals with 169 targets. That may sound very complicated, but you can see some of them here that they're very broad and very universal goals that everyone can see is important, such as no poverty, quality education, gender equality. You see them all here, partnerships with the goals. They were born on September 25th, 2015. They were agreed by the 193 leaders of the United Nations. But what does that mean? What does that mean? So the idea is by 2030, that we will achieve them. Do you think we can achieve them? Yes, I hope so. So these people here will share some ideas about how you can achieve them. But you may think that it's not relevant to you, or you don't care, or maybe I know that you're here because it's for school, but really it's something that really affects all of us in the future. Because as you know, if people continue to act the way they do, the future will not be the same for us anymore. And all of you are very young, and you want to make sure that your future stays well. So a little bit about my team. So I'm from the UN SDG Action Campaign. So we are a small team within the United Nations, and we work to promote advocacy and awareness on Sustainable Development Goals. And we have a lot of initiatives, especially ones related to youth, and that you can be a part of. So I'm going to talk really quickly about some of them. Don't worry about all the text. This is more to help me. One of our big events we have is called the SDG Global Festival of Action. So we do this every year in Bonn, Germany, where our office is, and we want this to be a really fun, really exciting gathering of everyone who's working on the goals, such as activists, musicians, creatives, and it's just a way to bring everyone together, and we also live stream it. Our next festival is on the 1st to 3rd, April 2020. So perhaps, I believe my aunt said some of you will be graduating very soon and will probably be starting to work. I hope some of you work in perhaps fields related to development or sustainability. Can be something to look forward to. For our festival, we do a crowdsource approach. So if you have a really great idea and a really great topic that you think that you want to share with international people, you can propose it and you can get a spot there, and it will be a live stream on UN TV. So it's a really great engagement opportunity. And within the festival, we have the SDG Action Awards. So this is a really exciting awards program for SDG changemakers that we launched since the beginning of the SDGs. Last year we had more than 2,000 submissions for 8 awards, and you can see the topics here: mobilizer, storyteller, campaigner, visualizer, connector, includer, creative, and the people's choice. So the idea about this is that people who are involved with organizations or projects that are making a big impact in their community can apply to become an awards winner. And you will be brought to our SDG Global Festival of Action, and we will give you the visibility, and you'll meet many people. And we're actually very lucky today because one of the award winners from our last edition, Jules, is here representing the 2030 Youth Force and many initiatives. They won the People's Choice Award. So out of every awards category, there are 3 finalists that are selected, and of the finalists, people vote on social media, and we're very happy to have you, and you'll explain a bit more about it. So that's the SDG Action Awards. And another fun initiative we have is called the SDG Butterfly Effect. So this is a really cool awareness raising tool. It is, I'll show you how it looks. So it is. So this is just a brief video, but what this is a cool Instagram and Facebook filter that you can use to take a fun video of yourself and your commitment to the SDGs and share it with your friends, encourage them to do the same. So it's called the SDG Butterfly Effect. Another thing that we do with my work with the UN SDG Action Campaign is some of you, maybe you may not know, but every year there is the United Nations General Assembly in September. So all of the world leaders come to New York to meet and discuss the future of the SDGs and many important issues such as climate action. So actually, this last September, with my team, we curated an exciting program at the SDG Action Zone, and we had many people there, numerous presidents, prime ministers, Bill Gates, many celebrities, and it is just a forum and a space for people to come and share their work and with the world leaders that are there. And that's also an opportunity to apply, to get involved and have that visibility there, especially those of you who aspire to a career related to the United Nations or international affairs. And we also have an initiative, which I'm going to show another short video. So since the SDGs were adopted on September 25th, 2015, every year we celebrate the Global Week to Act for SDGs. So this year, from September, this past September, from Septembre 20th to September 30th, people from around the world could sign up on act4sdgs.org, that's act4sdgs.org, to register their action and their activities that they're doing. And actually in the Philippines, there were 181 actions, which is really amazing, with 84 in Manila. And actually that video that I just showed you was shown inside the UN General Assembly to the world leaders directly at the end of the summit. So what we try to do with our work is to showcase the amazing work that people are doing around the world and bring it to the world leaders at the United Nations. And lastly, not lastly, but one of the next thing I want to talk about is a really important initiative we have called My World. So My World is a global survey designed to measure your perceptions and your awareness on the Sustainable Development Goals, and that we share this with world leaders. And all of our wonderful speakers here will also talk to you about their work with the My World survey. Here's actually, it's very hard to see up there, but this is some of the results of Filipinos who responded to our My World survey, where they talk, so people are asked to select 6 of the goals, so you see many of the goals up here. 6 are of most immediate concern to you and your family. I imagine some of you, you're graduating, you're probably going to be concerned about decent work and economic growth, right? Looking for a job. But there are many things here that I'm sure are really important to you in your personal lives. I see one at the top, which is interesting for the Filipinos, is good health and well-being, followed by quality education. So this is a tool that we use to measure what people think are important. From My World, we have a very cool initiative called Humans of My World. So what this is, I don't know if you're familiar with Humans of New York, but it's a photo sharing initiative. And what we do with this is we ask people about which of these issues are important to them in their lives, and they share a really personal story. This is an example of an indigenous activist here in the Philippines, and a quote from her. And we use these photos and these quotes in exhibits all around the world. So this is also something, if you're interested in getting involved in, and even interviewing your colleagues and people, you can submit photos for Humans of My World. Very quickly, we also, I don't know if any of you are aspiring filmmakers, we have an initiative called My World 360, where we actually work with students who create 360 films. So this is virtual reality 360 films on different topics, and we actually do a small film festival with the submitted content, and we showcase it at events around the world. So By the way, you probably have lots of questions, so write them down, or and later we'll have a Q&A. So write your questions down. And one of the most important things we do for here in the Philippines is we have an amazing My World Advocates program, which these amazing people are involved in. So what is this? We have a field advocates program, which includes 65 volunteers in 15 countries. And actually here in the Philippines, for the field advocates, we have 8. So field advocates is a volunteer role where people organize events and spread awareness in the community. And we have it in the 10 ASEAN countries: Bangladesh, China, Fiji, India, and Nepal. We also have a program for online advocates. So for those of you who are very social media savvy and you have a lot of networks online, we have a program for online advocates. We currently have 62 of them, and 5 of them are in the Philippines. So the Philippines is very active. The profile of these people are everywhere, in capitals, across provinces, students, educators, NGO workers, social entrepreneurs, among TV hosts. We have a TV host with us here today. Marginalized groups, persons with disabilities, everyone. So it's really a way to get involved and really get awareness, and it is a program that all of you can apply for in the future in the next round, and these people will share their experience. And first. So I really want to give the highlight, and I do want to give a big welcome to our wonderful advocates that are here today. So I'm going to call each of them up, and they're going to do a brief presentation about their work, and then at the end we'll do a Q&A session. So we have here, I just want to do a quick introduction to them. We have Mark Jacinto. Stand up. Co-chairman. But later they'll introduce themselves. And we have Angeli, Alba-Pascual, also an alum of Ateneo, so thanks for coming back to your alma mater. We have Mark Fredelban over here at the end. We have Sheena Oriella here, and Jules Yang. So I'm going to call them up here, and then they will do their presentation. So let me just open. I think we're going to start with you, Mark, if that's okay. No pressure. Do you want to come back here?
No, right.
You want to do here? Okay. And then change. We have to press this.
Hello. Okay. So, hi. Wow. Thank you so much. So I'm Mark. So let's go to the side. So I'm Mark. So I'll be discussing, of course, just a short overview on why do we need to do this. Of course, Christina has been talking about the SDGs, so an overview of the SDGs and the things that we have been doing. But to further understand, why do we need to do this? Like, especially as young people, why do we need to be involved? Why do we need to act for the SDGs? So, yeah. So right now, to start off my presentation, right now, here in the Philippines, so aside from the My World 2030 survey, which was discussed by Christina, there's also an annual report released by the, it's called the Sustainable Development Report by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, wherein they tackle or they discuss the progress of each country in terms of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So according to them, the Philippines is currently ranked 97 over 162 and number 5 in ASEAN. So number 1 in ASEAN region is Singapore for obvious reasons. So in all of the 17 goals, so they indicate four types. So the red ones, if you see, the red ones indicate that there's still major challenges here in terms of that SDG. So it's obvious SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and inclusion. So you know why. SDG 2, SDG 3, 6, 9, 10, and 17 are the others. And then the orange ones, they're already improvements, but there are still challenges, like major challenges ahead for that SDG. For the yellow ones, there are minor challenges already. The green ones are still wala pa, but we're still it's already achieved. So as of now, the best we can get is the yellow ones, which is SDG 4 and SDG 12. But I'm not, it's up to our personal prerogative if we agree on it or not. So, and then it was already discussed a while ago, the survey. So I just want to mention lang here in ASEAN. So it's somehow similar on what the Philippines surveys results look like. So as mentioned by Christina, here in the Philippines, SDG 3 is the priority. It's also the same in the region, wherein SDG 3 and SDG 4 are the top two priorities. Okay. So on our end, why do we need to act for SDGs, especially young? Hello. Especially for young people like us. Like for sure, we've been hearing about sustainability, stable development goals a lot. For sure, there are a lot of talks here in Ateneo about SDGs or sustainability here and there. And most of us wonder, why do we need to act for this? Why the sudden urge to act for this, especially as young people? Okay. So, of course, as young people, we are directly affected of the issues and developments. And by 2030, we're the ones leading the way. Of course, by the time we might have already our own families, our own businesses, or we're already in leadership, higher leadership positions than we are right now. So we are technically the future, and we need to secure our future as mentioned by Greta Thunberg. So we need to act as early as now, because if we don't act for it, we might be able to not save our future generations or our future families. So next. So aside from that, we are also catalysts of development. So it's proven time and time and again that we have been catalysts of development in many ways, and I'll show you some samples. So do you know, of course, do you know the Hong Kong protests right now? So you know what's happening in Hong Kong and everything. And did you know that the Hong Kong protests were led by young people like us, like our age? I think around 21, 22, your age, my age. So it's really as a glimmer of hope for us, for young people to lead movements, to lead changes, and to advocate for change for the betterment of the community or the society. Okay. Then, do you know the Youth for Climate Strike? I believe there's some actions here in Ateneo. Do you guys know it? Yeah. So there's also, of course, the Youth Climate Strike, wherein, of course, it's heeding for a call, wherein young people are acting for climate, especially it's becoming an emergency, and a lot of young leaders are urging our older leaders to act upon it. Okay. So how can we act for SDGs? So of course it's simple. I always use this like model I saw. I think this is also from UNDP. So this is like participatory practices on how young people can be involved. So we can work with the young people as beneficiaries. We can be target groups, like most of the time. Second, we can be partners, or we can be collaborators. And lastly, we can initiate things, or we can do things, whether it's a social enterprise, or an NGO, or non-profit, or whatsoever. We can be initiators, and we can be leaders. So, of course, these are some networks and organizations. For later, of course, Jules will be discussing about Youth Force. And there are a lot of networks and organizations here in the Philippines and Southeast Asia, or even in Asia Pacific, wherein we can advocate and act for SDGs in one way or another. I believe ISEC, is anyone an ISEC here? Or wala? So, yeah, ISEC is also one. I believe they're also heavily involved in the SDGs here, especially there's a chapter in Ateneo. So, yeah, of course, what can we gain if we act for SDGs? Aside from that, those three, of course, it's obvious. It's more of really impacting the future and helping build a sustainable future, not only for us, but for everyone. So, just to end, it's a cliche, but ang kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan. And I always believe in this because we are really the hope of the future. So, thank you and have a good day.
Mark, you didn't tell us about what you do now. Can you tell us just very quickly what you're up to these days?
So I am up to a lot, but I'm technically like more of organizing SDG events and here and there, and I'm also like working full time with my family for for business. So that's what they do right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So a good segue to talk about climate action. So I'm going to have Sheena come up here.
Hi, I'm Sheen. I'm an eco warrior, and I love hiking mountains. And actually, I'm helping out a small indigenous community in the Cordillera province. So that's why I'm an advocate for SDG 13 or climate action. You know what? Climate change is not just an environmental issue. It's not just about sea level rise or melting of ice on the. It's not just about it's about it's a people's issue. Why it's a people's issue? Because we are all affected. Everyone is affected, whether you are living in a first world country or in a developing country like the Philippines. So today is the 6th anniversary commemoration of Typhoon Haiyan, or locally known as Yolanda. So we all know that almost 6,000 people were killed, and millions of people are lost their homes and their livelihoods. So climate change is a story of injustice. It's a human rights issue, it's a health issue, it's a gender violence issue. So we must really act now. And aside from that, Philippines is one of the most prone country when it comes to disaster. And unfortunately, we have that kind of, we are not that quite capacitated when it comes to coping up with this kind of extreme weather patterns. Last year, the International UN Panel on Climate Change released a report. It says that we only have, last year is 12 years, but now 11 years to limit our climate or our global emissions. So they are urging every country to limit their global emissions. As you may all know, US, China, and the European Union is one of the most global emitters of greenhouse gases, while our country, the Philippines, is just a small contribution actually, but we are the most vulnerable. What we must do, the youth has a vital role when it comes to accelerating climate actions. We have all the skills, the talents, the ideas and energy, and we should maximize it in furthering climate actions. First is, of course, one is to be a responsible consumer. When I said be a responsible consumer, is we're trying to keep up with the latest trends, until it becomes, we have built this kind of a throwaway society. We must lessen our plastic consumptions. We must advocate for less single use of plastic, because do you know that we are one of the most third biggest polluter of marine debris, which is harming our marine species. We must also advocate for a plant-based diet, or at least try to cut down our meat consumption as well, because it's also one of the emitter of greenhouse gases. Second one is, of course, join and volunteer. As an advocate, I started volunteering for different organizations like Red Cross, Disaster Response, Climate Reality Leadership Project, and now currently advocating for divestment. So try to volunteer in tree planting, mangroves, or if you're into tamarack conservation, there are lots actually. Third is, of course, I'm part of the Youth Strike for Climate Philippines as a volunteer advocate. We're trying to urge the government to pressure them to really act on climate crisis, to demand them that it is now time for us to really act. And currently we are preparing for the next global climate strike, which will happen on November 29. I hope you can join us, because last October, last September is may mga taga-Sanbu or other organizations from Ateneo na nag-join sa amin. So yeah, system change, not climate change. We're not just rallying. We're trying to collaborate with different organizations. We're trying to partner with the governments such as Climate Change Commission, with Congressman Sara Lago. We're trying to partner with DepEd because we're being red tapped. So, of course, the last one is use social media platforms and advocate for 17 SDGs. So, alam naman natin, we have several issues. We need to raise awareness about environmental issues. Such as now, we have the Stop Kaliwa Dam. So, we must really oppose that because it will just affect everyone, especially our indigenous people and the biodiversity ng Sierra Madre. So, and then the last one is, of course, the My World survey. So, we are highly encouraging you to share your thoughts. And I'm challenging you guys to act on climate now and be part of the climate movement because we only have one planet and our future is at stake. And no matter how small it is, we can make a difference. That's all. Thank you.
Christina, you have to tell them what you're doing now.
Oh. Okay. So I'm part of a non-profit organization. It's an interfaith-based organization focusing on divestment. When it's say divestment, is we're trying to communicate with different financial institutions to divest from environmental harmful industries such as coal-fired power plants. So here in the Philippines, unfortunately we're still gearing towards a dirty energy, which is from coal-fired power plants, which is in fact that we must push forward for a more cleaner energy coming from renewable energy sources. So that's all.
Thank you so much.
I hope that inspired some of you. Some really great things that we can all do every day, such as, stop being a throwaway society, reducing waste, reducing meat consumption, and some ways you can also get involved with the climate strike and other things. So thank you so much. Next up, we'll have Jules Giang, who will share a bit more about his work with the 2030 Youth Force and also a bit about the SDG Awards.
Thanks, Christina.
Can I just use my voice? Alright, so I'll tie myself. I'm Jules Giang. I work as a TV host on TVB4. I host 3 shows. And on my advocacy side, I founded the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines 3 years ago. I'm also part of the 2030 in the Asia Pacific and part of the UN Advisory Board, Youth Advisory Board here in the Philippines. So quickly, what do we do in the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines? We have this ACE approach. So we activate youth, we collaborate with different organizations, and we educate because we put premium in awareness level because first and foremost, we need to maximize our resources and educate the people about the SDGs before mobilizing them. In 2016, way back in June 2016, we founded the Asia Pacific 2030 Youth Force in Bangkok. 17 youth leaders were gathered there, and our main output was to create our national chapter in several countries. The most active right now are from Cambodia, China, India, Indonesia, Nepal, Philippines, and Vietnam. And in 2016, with this simple post, this became the jump start of the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines. Actually, to be honest, I had my doubts and hindrances before we created the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines. Because way back in 2016, the SDGs weren't really mainstreamed yet. But because of this, thankfully, that's the jump start of the 2030 Youth Force. Now, about the 2030 Youth Force, currently we are about 3,250 member advocates all over the Philippines. Mostly are teenagers, apparently, but I'm 28. So, yeah, mostly they're young. On the gender count, most are female. And this is very glaring data right now that most of our members are from the NCR. So it's motivation for us and a challenge to go further to the other regions because the main battle cry of the SDGs is to leave no one behind. And if we'll just focus on the NCR, it wouldn't make sense. That's why we are really maximizing our resources to partner with LGUs and different organizations in different regions to ensure that all regions are involved in this one. And most of our advocates are currently active in SDG 4, that is quality education. I'll skip that one. And what we do in the Youth Force is we create different campaigns. Like for 2018, we introduced Bayanihan for the SDGs. It's our way to include our culture and our traditions. When we talk about Bayanihan, it's about community building, it's about teamwork. So we use Bayanihan for the SDGs. We also introduced the SDG Tambayan. It's an online show that we produce regularly, and it's basically using social media for social good. So we talk about different SDGs and we invite speakers. Also in 2018, it's been a while. We had previous debates if we will talk about different issues, national issues in the country. But we decided that we need to also release statements about different issues, because at the end of the day, the appreciation of people about the SDGs will be achievable if we will connect it to issues like this one. On the endo issue of Nutri-Asia, it's connected to SDG 8, recent work, etc. So it's a good strategy to link all SDGs beyond showing the icons. It's very important to link all of these icons to current issues right now. And what we did in 2018 is very quick. We organized a summit in Miriam last year, and the main output is to create a youth agenda that initially we urged the candidates to link their platforms with the SDGs. So it's very important to always link the SDGs to timely issues like the midterm elections. In 2019, we focus on Sulong global goals. It's more on moving forward because our term was only for 3 years. I already ended my term as a convener. I'm currently with the board of directors right now. And as Christina mentioned a while ago, fortunately, with our efforts for the past 3 years, we were able to clinch the People's Choice Award in Bonn last May. So here's a quick clip. This is in Bonn. It's just a bonus actually, because that's the trophy. It's a wonderful trophy. And I had the privilege to have a picture with all winners from different countries. And their outputs were really, really amazing and really very specific. And that's a challenge for all of us, since here in the Philippines, our main mandate since we created the Youth Force is just to educate on the surface level. So after attending this awards program in Bonn, we learned that we really need to be very specific with our issues. So that's part of our challenge right now. And making noise for the SDGs, Christina mentioned a while ago that we participated in the Global Week of Action. We organize different summits, etc. But it's really important to bring the SDGs to the grassroots, again, leaving no one behind. So what we did, we partnered with the Philippine National Police. I know it's not a very popular decision, but we argued that it's really important to include everyone, especially that they have the mandate to enforce different policies. So what we did is to paint the whole walls of the Camp Karingal, the Quezon City headquarters, with each SDG. So these are created by 17 schools in Quezon City, and this is their interpretation with the SDGs. So imagine every day when the police come in and come out from their camp, they will be inspired with the SDGs, hopefully, and be inspired about human rights. Right? Right. So very quickly, yeah. Okay, I'd like to end here. So last Global Week of Action, we lobbied in the House of Representatives and the Senate. And we had 3 champions for the SDGs, and they filed House Resolution 398. It's basically a resolution urging all legislators to align the SDGs to align their bills with the SDGs. Because at the end of the day, even though we're very passionate and very focused in our advocacy work, if the decision makers wouldn't align their bills and legislations with the SDGs, everything wouldn't make sense. So next Wednesday, we'll be going back to the House of Representatives and the Senate to talk more about the SDGs and how they could align the SDGs in their bills. Right, so that's it. And if you want to know more about the SDGs, in my show, that's every Monday, every Tuesday, we have the SDG Tambayan. So every week we invite different SDG champions and talk more about specific issues that they do with the SDGs. Thank you.
No worries. Wait, before you go, can you tell us how can they join the 2030 Youth Force?
You can visit the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines on Facebook. Actually, one of the officers is there, is Rex. Hi, Rex. So he's a incumbent officer right now. You can just go there on the page and visit the pinned post, and we have a link there where you can join. Thank you.
Oh, and one more question.
Sure.
So how do people get to become a guest in your show? You said
Oh.
they have to be an SDG champion.
Yeah.
So what do they have to do?
Well, if you have different initiatives in your organizations, most likely it can be connected with the SDGs. So we can just talk after this, and then I'll just schedule their guesting.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow. I hope you are all getting very inspired to take action. Next topic is very important, is about health, good health and well-being. So I'm going to invite Mark up here.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Christina pala. I am Engineer Mark from the Manila Water Company, and also I'm a former cadet engineer of Navigal Samson at PWH. And now I'm a mental health advocate. I'm going to talk about ano ba talaga yung hugot ng SDG. So, I'm going to show you first a short clip. So it's not really that we need to empathize pa yung mga mismong victims, the first hand na nagsasuffer, which is the children. So the main focus of the World Health Organization at SDG 3 is the continuing population of death of 5 years old and below. They're the first who suffered different kinds of global health threats around the world, consisting of 45% of these deaths are due to malnutrition, hindi lang dito sa Philippines but also in the rest of the African countries and African continent, where people, this is a picture, mga developing countries, each family is already poor, and then they don't have access to clean water, sanitation, as well as even so, for them to prevent themselves from caught up in different kinds of global diseases and illnesses. And also to add up, there has been a low quality of medical treatment, facilities, and services in each developing countries. So hindi siya patay-patay. So, what are the leading causes of death around the world? According to WHO, on the year 2016 to 2018, the current census of death toll amounted already to 97 million. So it's alarming. And 95% of the current world population suffered with different medical conditions. Where 23% of these deaths, the 97 million death toll, are being caused by different kinds of environmental factors, especially pollution. And then 39% of the adults are currently or estimatedly reported to be obese. And obesity has been one of the world's leading health problems. And here, we've got different kinds of diseases which leads to the top 10 causes of death. So as you can see here, you could see cancer, bronchitis, lung diseases, heart disease, stroke, diarrhea, tuberculosis, road injuries, and somehow in other countries, one of the top leading causes of death, especially in European countries, is suicide. Because I'm also a mental health advocate. And right now, what specifically does the WHO focuses on? First is the maternal mortality. In the developing countries, it's 14 times higher than of the developed countries already. So nasa Asian countries as well as on the African continent. Wherein sa maternal mortality na to, maraming nag-deliver ngayon na bata pa, and then hindi pa sila equipped, hindi nila alam mong gagawin. Kasi nga, early naman pagpanganak. So they don't have the ideas and also don't have the capability to go to health centers. So minsan, during labor, namamatay sila. And then, children's health, na pakita na kayo na sa video. HIV and AIDS is currently rampant right now, wherein 35 million of people are being infected by it. And mental health, last month lang, Mental Health Awareness Month, wherein more than 800,000 people are namatay na dahil sa suicide, committing suicide. Wherein 1 for every 40 seconds around the world die because of suicide. And other than these, non-communicable and communicable diseases includes malaria, polio, last month lang. Kaya may mga vaccines ngayon na pinapatupad. Libre lang po yun. At TB, tuberculosis. Until now, hindi pa rin siya nasusuko. And then the last one are other illnesses acquired from substance abuse and pollution, wherein 90% ng current population around the world ay merong sakit caused by different environmental factors nga po, including asthma, wherein 235 million children currently suffer with asthma. Kasali ba ako? So, what are really the health targets of the SDG 3? But first, let's know what's really the main focus. The main goal is to ensure healthy lives among all people and foster well-being for all people at all ages. So we currently have 12 targets, but meron 13 pa lang. And then reduce mortality rate and all preventable deaths under 5 years of age, fight communicable diseases as well as non-communicable diseases, and this also includes promoting health well-being, mental health well-being per se. Prevent and treat substance abuse. So ngayon dapat moderate lang ang paggamit ng alcohol at saka bata pa kayo. Hindi na moderate, so mas maganda kung i-end yun na. Control. Meron lang yun, control talaga na. Mahirap kontrolin pero kaya kung gagawin. Reduce road injuries and deaths ay isa na sa leading na causes of death around the world dahil sa hindi natin responsible drivers. So, hindi lang tayo ang nakakasang death, nakakapagdamay pa tayo ng ibang tao. So, the third one and seventh one is universal access to sexual and reproductive care, family planning education. So meron yung reproductive health care for yung parang sa ano. Tapos, including universal health coverage and reduce illnesses and death as reduce chemicals and pollutions and so on and so forth. So, upon knowing all of these targets of the WHO, what could actually the youth could do in disseminating the information regarding SDGs, specifically SDG 3. So first, we could even be a blood donor. During sa mga Red Cross, we could participate as volunteers. Nakakapag-replenish po siya ng ating dugo, so healthy siya. And then second one is vaccinate yourself, including all your family. So ngayon sa universal healthcare, libre po yung sa mga barangay. So pag sinabi nila, go. Pero natural, mga pang 1 year lang po yun. Hindi nagdalas ng 2 years kasi mahal na. So sarili nyo na po yung gastos. So, pag merong ganung mga program, so ano na natin, i-grab na natin opportunity. The third one could be, and alcohol nga, sabi nga sa inyo. And also narcotic drugs. So wala naman dito siguro. So, ayun na yun. Alam nyo na yun. Huwag natin pag-usapan. And then, the fourth one is to change your daily habits. Exercise daily. Ito na po yung number one na sabi po sa mga mental health patients is really to exercise daily para ma-replenish yung blood cells at saka flow ng blood into your body para hindi tayo makontak ng different kinds of diseases. And then, the fifth one is volunteer. Yun nga po, na-discuss na po ng mga grupo kung ano ba yung different na mga organizations locally and internationally. So you could even volunteer yourself. And share facts about global health into your own family, and somehow, mas maganda kung sumuporta po tayo sa mga online advocates of the UN through the My World 2030 by retweeting, sharing, and liking all the posts on media and social media campaigns. Second one is to propose local ordinances. Support po natin yung mga current na paghanapong bills at saka ngayong current na law na Universal Health Law. And then also, kapag kami mga SK, you could even help through proposing local ordinance and resolutions to your city councils. And lastly is to donate. So kung may mga well enough naman dito sa buhay, so we could even help even just a small amount para makatulong tayo sa hindi lamang sa mental health o hindi na lamang sa mga SDG, yung mga related na mga health na campaigns or organizations, pwede rin para sa mga bata, sa mga wala na magulang na sa orphanage. Ganun lang. So that would be all, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we're going to have Angeli come up.
Hi everyone. Good evening. I have maybe 2 minutes. I'll try and keep everything very brief. So I'm Angeli. I am from Habitat for Humanity International's Asia Pacific office. So we work in 17 countries, 18 territories across Asia Pacific, and actually we work with a lot of universities, about 115 universities across Asia Pacific. One of them is based here in Ateneo. It's called Habitat for Humanity, Blue Chapter. One of the leaders are here later. So she'll tell you a bit. Please come by and ask her about what your current projects are. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the global goals, a concept called housing at the center, and the next steps that you can do to get involved. So Habitat is a nonprofit that works on building a world where everyone has a decent place to live. We've been in this region since 1983, and in 2018 alone, we've served 4.8 million individuals through house repairs, house reconstruction, disaster response, appropriate construction technologies, water, sanitation, and hygiene, as well as advocacy on housing, safe, decent, affordable housing, and land tenure. I'm also a field advocate for the My World 2030. So what's the connection? So maybe let's talk a little bit about what the context is in Asia Pacific and why I feel that there is a huge connection between habitat, housing, and the SDGs. So this is where we are. And this is our goal, to have everyone has a decent place to call home in a sustainable inclusive community. That falls right under SDG 11, that's target 11.1. The very first is adequate housing. Some of the threats that we have, if you're living in Asia Pacific, you're 4 times more likely to experience a natural disaster as compared to the rest of the world. if you compare that to somebody who's in Europe, that's 25 times more likely than somebody who lives in Europe, for example. A huge portion of the population, more than 50%, is now living in cities. There's a lot of opportunity in metros, but it also exacerbates a lot of the problems that we have. Poverty, hunger, good health, quality education. Bring it all to the city, those problems, and they get magnified tenfold, 100-fold. And in Asia Pacific, 722 million people are living in slums. 722 people are living under the poverty line, and 570 million people are living in slums just in this region. We need 20,000 daily new urban dwellings to accommodate all the migration, the population growth, and that translates to a lot of need for housing and good settlements, sustainable communities. And that's why we work a lot with young people in Asia Pacific. We feel like this is one of our biggest strengths in the region. We have 1.8 billion youth globally, most of them in Asia Pacific. A lot of them are in countries where we actually work, where Habitat actually works. And we found that 72% want to give back to their community, and we want to capture that passion to something like the SDGs. And personally for us, SDG 11. Yes, so because we believe SDG 11 really is a platform to sustain, ensure, and facilitate a lot of the other global goals. And then the SDG came in 2015, a year after the UN Habitat, another UN agency, had a convention called Habitat 3, wherein governments said that we're going to focus a lot of our efforts in the cities because there's a lot of huge impact that we can do there. And they said we should focus on housing at the center because house is more than just a wall and a roof. It's also about people living inside it, people who are using the house, also people who work on it's where water, sanitation, and hygiene, for example, goes through the house. It's where livelihoods and other opportunities come. For example, yes. So house is also about the land. So a lot of women's rights are tied to the land. A lot of rights about where we are going to live, how safe we are, is actually tied to the concept of housing. So for sustainable development goals, we actually tie this up with a lot of our youth engagement in the region. Mostly through the Young Leaders Build campaign. We mobilized about 2 million supporters in 2019. Talking about advocacy, raising funds to create awareness around housing and sustainable communities. And then we invited a lot of them to show up, to show their solutions in international forums. We just had one in Bangkok in September. We had one in Manila in July. And then we have this thing called the Habitat Young Leaders Build Leadership Academy. We go into more the poorer communities and provide them with information around, localized information around all of these SDGs. And we're always looking for partners to do that with. So there's a lot of things that you can do to check. This is the Manila, these are the Manila numbers. We don't have time. So, yeah. So the next steps that you can do, help your country report how it's going with the SDG 11. Please report your cities. If you're in other places outside of Manila, please report what you feel is happening in there. Volunteer. Okay, that's the last bit. Volunteer, and I'd like to ask Sophie from the Habitat 2 chapter just to tell you about what opportunities are right here in your campus.
Hi guys, so I'm Sophia from Habitat for Humanity Blue Chapter. So basically the Blue Chapter is one of the university partners of Habitat for Humanity Philippines, and our main role is to raise awareness about the advocacy, but also to provide an avenue for all of the students in Ateneo to be able to integrate themselves in our project. So one of our main projects is the BUILDS program, and as mentioned by Ms. Angeli, when you integrate in the community, and Habitat for Humanity Philippines, it's not just about building physically, but it's also about community development. So we have several projects that include street store and kamustahan, and soon we'll be opening builds opportunities for people who are members, so that the community itself, like Ateneans, can be able to see what it's like and be able to participate without having to be a member of the organization. So I invite you all to participate in our project and watch out for our assignments. Thank you.
Wow. So we've seen one of our advocates, I think, got stuck in traffic, so unfortunately she wasn't here. But big round of applause for all of our advocates up here. So now I want to open the Q&A. I want to hear some of your questions, and we can see how best we can answer them. So raise your hand if you have a question. Yes?
Hi, this one is for Angeli.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to bring the microphone over because it's hard for us to hear.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
So my question is, given that your main advocacy is the environment, how do you ensure that your projects are like responsible or like environmentally responsible? Because like for example, you can conduct tree planting that doesn't plant indigenous trees. Like, or do you have like a research sector? Or?
We make sure that we plant native trees, and we make sure that we partner with the local community as well, because the role of the community is really important. It's because if they're not engaged well, mas mawawala lang yung project, masasayang lang siya. And we must really educate ourselves kung ano yung mga native trees sa bawat lugar, kasi not are all hindi sa Cordilleras, may mga trees na hindi siya pwede doon na mga foreign. Like, for example, for Christina, bawal. Basta yun. Basta, we must educate ourselves first, and hindi tayo basta mag-plant. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Don't be shy. I'm sure many of you have things you want to ask. Any questions? Yes?
Hi, I don't, this question is not really like for people, everyone in general. So like, how do you balance your life between your day jobs and dedicating a good amount of your efforts to global SDGs? Because like, I see myself wanting to do something like this after graduating, but then I see that there's a sense of fear in me that it's going to be difficult. So, yeah.
What's your name?
God will.
God will. Thank you so much. That's a really good question. I'm sure all of us up here can relate. One thing for me and for some people, but not everyone is lucky, if you can try to find a career or some way to weave the SDGs into your professional work, perhaps you can lobby and engage in your work environment to implement something. That's really a great way because you're using it in your work. But Mark here, I know, is involved in so many initiatives. So let's see how he balances his work with his volunteering.
Okay, that's a great question. Because for my end, because before I came here, I had work. I had work. So I have a day job, and actually I'm currently in a office transfer. So sobrang busy talaga on my end. And I think one thing is really time management. What I do right now is like I have a to-do list app. I just track down kung ano yung kailangan gawin both in the office and the advocacy work, so that I'm able to manage both sides. Because after work, you can still be able to do things. Although of course you just need to manage things properly. And I think na-manage ko naman siya. Kasi right now, my daily routine is like from 6 a.m. to 4 a.m. I have work. And then, uwi ako ng bahay, 5 p.m. Then for 5 p.m. onwards, I'll do my personal stuff including advocacy work. Then I'll sleep at 10 or 11. So, na-manage ko naman. Then, of course, there's sometimes na nasisingit mo siya pag sa work. So, because of course, I mean, it's somehow not really a good thing to do. But there are times that, especially lunchtime, you can be able to do it at work or on your social media wherein it's already accessible. You can just do things on your social media, chat people, and do your progress works there. So yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me one tip each about how you balance it? I know for you, you're able to intertwine it with your work.
Well, for me, I really take advantage of traffic. I take advantage of traffic. I do Marian Rivera and just do a lot of my work while stuck in traffic. I get a Grab, I don't drive, so I can do things on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to integrate it with your life, with your work. Like in my show, I had to urge my producers for about 3 years. And then just last month, they agreed to start an SDG segment of my show. And yeah, with the youth force, I'm really serious with this NGO. It's a young NGO right now. That's why I'm taking my MA on voluntary sector management to professionalize the NGO. So yeah, we'll see how it will go to make it more professional and to urge more people for partnership as well.
For me, I'm lucky enough because my job is I can work online, I can work at home anytime. I manage my own time, and most of my work is more on field. But when I'm free, I'll try to do other volunteering. So I'm just lucky enough sa work ko.
Me, sa part ko po, since I'm a civil engineer sa Layo, kasi I'm a mental health advocate. I started this one because I was diagnosed with major depression. At saka ang dami ko pala dito. So, I'm coming out. So, parang siyang closet daw. Kaya yung mga na-interview ko, since I'm only online, and I'm also doing the field stuff, we do that with the Youth Mental Health Coalition and with Dr. Randy, yung sa PBB, nag-advocate din siya since he's my doctor. And then, we do that only during the weekends. Since napaka-hectic na schedule namin sa sarili namin. Hindi lamang psychologists or psychometricians, and there are other professionals also, which really not inclined with psychology. Since we are really on this stuff, since we suffer, kung ano yung hugot nyo, where you could relate to personally, yun yung mismong i-advocate. So yun na. Walang pilitan to, walang sa pilitan. Pag gusto nyo, gusto.
Thank you, some really, really great tips. And thank you, Mark, for being so brave by taking, something that affected you and doing advocacy and awareness, and all of you and all the work that you do. So obviously it is possible. Many of you are probably wondering how you can intertwine it, but really the way about the Sustainable Development Goals is to have it in different facets of your life because it really affects everything that you do. So any other questions? Yeah? Can you also say your name and maybe your major? I'd like to hear.
So, hi, I'm Liza. I'm currently a health sci major, but I'm also minoring in health and development. The question is more for everyone, like, how do you manage issues wherein those in power, so aka the government, are resistant to the changes that you want to advocate or promote? Like, what I said earlier, like, we do have bills and laws and policies to implement. Parang created or made, but then implementation is really a problem. So how do you address that issue, or what can we do as the youth to help promote or promote the laws and bills that we want to do?
Who would like to answer? Jules? Okay. Go.
I'm working with the government right now through PPP4, and to be fair with the government, we just really need to engage with them. And they are really willing to integrate the SDGs. Right now, the NEDA, or the National Economic Development Authority, is mandated to focus on the SDGs. But to be honest, not all agencies that implementing are really well integrated with the SDGs. So what we can do as advocates is to engage with them, and introduce the SDGs and how they could connect their mandate to implement the SDGs. So specifically with my example a while ago with the PNP, it's a very contentious partnership, but we still pursued it because we know that they have the power, and why not use that power to rechannel their influence for the SDGs. So yeah, just integrate and just engage with it.
Thank you so much. Really good question. You want to say something again?
So actually, I agree with him. We often think of advocacy, for example, with the government being something that has to be competitive, but it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes really government officials, when you talk to them, they really want to do something good for their communities, even if it's just for the votes or but sometimes they don't know how, or they feel like they do but they don't have the manpower to do it. So sometimes actually we encourage our young volunteers to actually talk to their local government officials, present them with their own community action plan, tell them about a specific issue that they want to address, tell them this is our action plan, how can we help you, how can we make this good, also look good and reflect well on you, so that it becomes a partnership and it doesn't have to be contentious. For legal, like more legalistic work on like lobbying and stuff, sometimes it's looking at some of the details of policy. That could be a unifying thread for both the advocate and the youth advocate and the politician or the congressman, senator, and then that's where you.
Yeah. I think I agree to both what Jules said and Angeli has said. But aside from that, I think we can start at the bottom by engaging ourselves with our communities, local communities, like our barangays, especially SKs, Sangguniang Kabataan, and barangay, local communities. So mayors, here's the city. I believe Jules and Youth Force have been partnering with the city government of Quezon City to integrate the SDGs to their policy agendas. And I think this is also like one of the important things para ma-achieve yung SDGs is really to localize it to the level, because while the national agencies are really mandated to do those things, kung hindi na natatrickle down dun sa baba or hindi na sisimula dun sa baba, it's not really effective after all. So we need to engage ourselves locally muna, and I believe in a bottom-up approach. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Oh, so sorry. Everyone wants to talk. That's great.
Since I'm part of the Youth Strike for Climate Philippines, we're not just really rallying. We make sure that we partner with the government because we cannot do it alone, and our leaders has a critical role in the issue of climate change. And as of now, I think, they are very welcoming actually. Our government is very welcoming with our ideas. We just have to talk to them, dialogue with them. And if we disconnect, if the government disconnect the youth agenda, so what happened to us? What will happen to other issues? So we must really engage our government. That's all.
Since I'm also a part, I'm a chairman of the Committee on Education on the SK Federation here in Philippines. The question will be a whole or issue of the prioritization. So anong mauunang policy? Kasi natural may nakala yan. Different organizations, meron na naka-incline sa Senate. So hindi lang sa Senate, kundi sa LGUs, sa local city councils. May question kasi na may lack of funds. May question of appropriation, magagaling sa DBM. So it's really a matter of sino mauuna. What should we prioritize? And somehow hindi siya complete pagpasa kasi hindi naman regarding lang sa SDGs. Pero pag iniisa-isa, himay-himay yan. May mga iba-ibang initiatives, may iba-ibang mga pinopose sa mga programs sa bawat barangay. At sa barangay level pa lang, hindi siya na-implement ng maayos kasi kulang yung power. So it's about prioritization, appropriation, and power.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have time for maybe one or two more questions. Yes?
Hello. Hi, I'm Miguel. I'm majoring in business management. And it's a personal question for me because I feel that I commute kasi going home, and then I always see the poor, and then it's kind of a struggle for me because like, should I give food to them or not? Because like sometimes there's always an argument that they'll be dependent on you or they'll be lazy or like that. I still do give food to them, but is there a better way for me to help them? If anyone has an answer now.
This is a very good question and something that many people may deal with. And there are many ways to approach it. Of course, one of the best things to reduce those numbers of population is to pressure the government. So the government and the leaders should be held accountable to be able to implement things to reduce, and to alleviate poverty. But I'm going to see if any of you would like to answer if you have direct involvement with this.
So on my part, it would be really personal. Since also during childhood, I also experienced poverty. I lay on the streets, and I'm also a street child. So I know how it feels having no home, shelter. And good thing I became an engineer, but when you go up in your life, being professional, you come to your own past experiences to make you feel the humility, the sense of humility. When it comes to volunteering, if you really personally experience it, you know how it feels. So it's not really about pushing yourself if you want to help too or not. Because if you see that it's really in need at that time, so you could give them food if you want to. But if you really push through giving money, they will really seek money more from other people. So manlilimo sila. They will really pay. So it's not really good that you help them through monetary because they will seek for it every time. But you could do that by volunteering different organizations, or you could go to the orphanages, or you could even ask for local officials to get these children or even their family who are really poor along the streets and to go to orphanages, who are the ones who are capable of giving them shelter and food. Maybe that's what you could do.
Thank you. And I just want to
Stress, yes, the importance of working through legitimate and official organizations because they have the experience with this. So it's something to find. Thank you. We have time for maybe one last question. One final question. And also, if you didn't get your questions answered, I'm going to share with Dr. Areta the presentation and the contact information for the speakers here so that if you, and the links, so if any of you are interested to go back to the presentation and see the links and to learn more to get involved, I will share it with her. Any final questions? You right there. Can you speak very loud?
Yeah. I'm Diego and my name is Diego and my course is restaurant entrepreneurship. This is kind of a question that's like unique to my course, I think. So the hospitality and food industry suffers from a lack of infrastructure in support of local produce. Do you think in the future, by focusing on the SDGs, we could improve that infrastructure and actually put premiums on our own local produce versus how it is now, where it's actually cheaper to just import?
Very good question. Do any of you have the expertise to respond? Yeah?
My husband is a farmer. My husband is an urban farmer, so in the City, he creates all of these aquaponics systems. So yes, right now it is still cheaper to import. And if we just look at this short term, that might be the way to go, it would seem. But if you really look at the trend, Sheena was saying 11 years before, we only have 11 years until we bear the full brunt of climate change. And by then, and we have already started seeing this in the United States, for example, all of our food supplies are going to the food supplies and the systems, the way that we manufacture our food is just gonna get disrupted because our environment cannot sustain it. So
it's not just about looking for your local produce. It's also about systematic changes, investments in ways that use up our resources, environmental resources, water, electricity, in a much more efficient manner while we're producing food.
Thank you so much, and what a direct involvement with your husband as a farmer. So before we end, I want to take a fun photo with everyone. So I'm going to pass around the goals that you're going to hold up as a sign, and we need them back.
So, Dad, you can take it from up here. So just hold up the sign, and then we'll have the... So you're just gonna hold them up. And the keys will be facing this way. So no, face here. We'll take the picture from here. Melissa, come up here. Here, use my phone so I can send it to them. So sit down so that we can see. Should we stand up? No, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up.
And I want you to hold up the SDG sign very high. Hold them up very high. Let's see one of the photographers, which are my family. Does it look okay? Is it okay? Or should we do an angle? Okay, so. Yeah. No, that's okay. And then can you come up a little bit forward, the advocates? Okay, so we're going to take first a normal picture, and then we're going to take a fun picture. Okay, so first the normal picture. The photographers, can you give us a count?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ready? One more. 1, 2, 3.
One more on the phone? Okay.
I think there's one more.
Oh. Okay, now everyone, put your hands up, because we're going to take action on the SDGs. So those of you with the signs, just put them up, but everyone else kind of put your hands up, or put your fists up. However you feel Okay, sorry, count again.
1, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, one more on the phone.
Thank you